Welcome back to Better Than Before. I'm Tony Richards, and thank you so much for listening to our show today. In this segment, I want to talk to you about productivity secrets of billionaire executives. So when you think of the Mark Benioffs of the world, you think of the Mark Cubans of the world, you think of the Jamie Dimons, you think of who else is successful? Donald Trump. You think of Richard Branson. You think of all these billionaire CEOs and a lot of CEOs that I coach and work with as well. What is it that they employ? What strategies and tactics do they use? Because time is at a premium and output should be at a maximum. So how do they get to everything that they need to do? And I want to share some things with you that in my research over the last 25 or 30 years, I have noticed about highly successful and highly productive people. Number one, touch it once. So if you touch something, somebody hands you something, or if an email comes in, or if a note is passed on your desk, do something with it, take action. Do not let somebody hand you something if you're not going to take action on it. I've had people try to hand me a flyer before, and I'd surprise them. I'd say, no, thank you. I'm not going to take action on it. I don't want it to end up crumpled up in the back of my truck, so I don't touch it. So the rule is if you touch it, you're going to act on it. Don't open that email if you're not going to act on it, if you're not going to do something with it. If you're not going to file it, respond, or delete, then you're better off not doing anything, right? But if you do touch it one time and do whatever it is you need to do. If a project comes across your desk, take action on it. The thing to remember, too, is concentration is like a muscle. So the more you're interrupted, the harder it is to get that muscle strong. If you don't believe me, go down to the gym and try to lift some weights while somebody's talking to you. It's really difficult to bench press and somebody starts talking to you about the time you start to lift the weight, or go out on a golf course and try to make a golf swing or hit a ball when somebody's talking to you or they're jumping in with some conversation. Concentration is a muscle, and the more you're interrupted, it's hard to strengthen your muscle. So touch it one time. Number two, make as many lists as you can. If you don't keep lists, you're going to be in reactive mode a lot more often. More things are going to be disjointed, disoriented, discombobulated. Lists help you stay focused on high priorities and high productive matters. Ask yourself, how many things on your to-do list every single day? I'm going to tell you there are 5 or 6 that are really, really important, and the rest of them are just sort of little throwaway things that you can do in just a couple of minutes. So you need to make a list of your 5 or 6 most important things to do that day. Go to your list and do something. Now, I like to do the hardest thing first, but a lot of people like to do the easiest thing first. And so when you talk to them, they'll say, well, I got to get my momentum going, so I need to check off something right away to make me feel like I'm on a roll before I hit the hard thing. And I'm kind of the opposite. If I've got something hard to do, it's the frog eating principle. If I've got a frog to eat, I don't want to look at him all day. I just want to get him down. I don't want to swallow an oyster and then work my way to the frog. I want the frog right away. Long lists. I've seen this before too, but people show me their to-do list and it's like a whole legal pad long. Long lists cause you to do the less productive, easier things to make yourself feel better. Long lists means you never finish your list in a timely fashion. There's always stuff to carry over. So what I typically coach my clients to do is make their long list. I call it a brain dump. Dump everything out of your brain you're thinking about doing this week, and then let's put it into days. So, what is that? 6 things a day, 5 days a week. That's 30 things. So you take that, you chunk it in, go, okay, Monday. Here are the things I'm going to do Monday. Here's the most important and hardest one. Here's the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, on down the line. Now, you may have to, if they're really difficult and hard, you may have to carry them over to Tuesday, but at least you know pretty much what you're going to be doing that day. And I will tell you, there is enormous psychological pleasure and both physical pleasure in checking all those things off. when you check off that last thing of the day, there's a shot of endorphins that hits your system that's just like, ooh, ah. List the 6 most important things you need to do and get those things completed every day. Keep a side running list of all the things you need to get done. And when you plan each day, do your long list and use that menu list to build your 6-item list. Number 3, plan how much time you will allocate to each thing on your list. So if this is going to take an hour, put an hour out beside that thing. If it's going to take 15 minutes, put 15 minutes, and so on and so forth. So most of us work the typical 8-hour day. Not all of us, but some of us. So if you got 6 things on your list, that's about 45 minutes per thing. But at least you know on purpose your intention is very high about how long that's going to be. Do not think about when you will do each task quite yet. Just determine the amount of time you will realistically dedicate to each task. Make sure that the 5 or 6 items on your list can actually be accomplished in one day. Because I've had that too. Like I've worked all day long on one thing. If one or more of the items on your list is too big to be accomplished in one day, write down how much time during that day you're going to dedicate to it. I've done that too. I've worked 3 hours on it one day and then moved on to something else and come back to it and worked 3 more hours on it the next day. I've split it. Number 4, plan your day very purposely. This is not a general guide to how your day might unfold. It's kind of specific, right? And you need a time slot for everything. That includes all the 6 items on your list, as well as some time allocated to check email, open regular mail, and answer. Everybody always remembers this too. If they're in one of my seminars, I typically get to this. And I will tell them that I only look at email 4 or 5 times a day. Sometimes not 5, just 4. Like so in the morning before I start, around 10 or 10:30, around 1 or 1:30, and then around 4 or 4:30, and maybe before I go to bed, maybe not. But some people are checking their email constantly. They're constantly hitting send and receive, send and receive, send and receive, and they're wasting productivity time. So me, I shut it off. I don't even keep it running. I don't want that little thing popping up in the edge of my screen distracting me, telling me I've got email. Because there'll be one or in there say, oh, William sent me an email. I wonder what he wants. And then before you know it, I'm off of I'm off of my bench pressing and I'm on to curling. And I didn't finish bench pressing because I let the email distract me and send me on another path. If you have 2 30-minute slots of reactive time, such as checking email, then you also can build in some buffer times. So this 20 minutes here, I'm going to take this and walk around the building, or I'm going to go visit Bill and talk to him while he eats his banana, or whatever, But everything should be planned and on purpose. And the people say, well, what about spontaneity? What about, things that just sort of happen? I'm like, well, schedule them. The best compliment I ever heard David Letterman get was that his show looks completely spontaneity, right? It looks like it's all being done off the cuff, and it's all very rehearsed and planned. But it looks like it's all just being thrown together and wacky things are happening that you wouldn't have thought would have happened, but it's all in the schedule. It's all intentional. Number 5, prioritize. Look at your day and see where you put the most difficult stuff. I kind of talked about that, right? Most people do not have enough energy at the end of the day to tackle the hard things. But if some people, their energy is all in the end of the day. So that's where they need to put the hard thing. Depending on where your energy level is the highest, that's where you need to put the most difficult items on your to-do list. I'm interested if you have any high productivity tips that you can share with us that we can pass along to the audience. Would you please send them to me? info at clearvisiondevelopment.com. I'm your host, Tony Richards, reminding you that everything gets better when you get better.
Thank you for listening to Better Than Before with Tony Richards, a business leaders podcast powered by Clear Vision Development Group. For more resources from Tony, visit clearvisiondevelopment.com. Join us next time for another episode of Better Than Before with Tony Richards.